Hello, fellow gamers, and welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. You know, something that doesn't get talked about nearly often enough on this show is a segment of the video game world called fighting games. Fighting games are something that are near and dear to my heart, and I wanted to invite somebody who's a very special guest and a very good friend of mine, Charles, on the show, who is a fellow fighting game enthusiast. I am your host, John, and we are going to be going through a history of fighting games in this episode. Charles, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, man. Happy to be here and super stoked to talk about fighting games, especially one of my major passions.
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually one of the things that we connected on initially when you and I met, like whatever it was, 20 years ago. We attended a Comic-Con up here in Seattle, Washington. And aside from our mutual love of comic books, we ended up clicking on fighting games.
Yeah, for sure. And video games in general. But yeah, especially
right.
fighting games.
All the general nerd adjacent stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
So before we get into the content of the show, man, what was your first fighting game that you played?
Oh, gosh. Karate Champ back in the day. I remember my dad taking me to the arcade and we would play Karate Champ. I don't know if you remember, we would play, the characters, you had one in the white gi and one in the red gi. And it was super simple.
Basically like Waru and
Ken. Yeah, probably a big influence, I would imagine. But yeah, I think there was only one or two buttons too or something. And it was super simplified.
Like a punch kick.
Yeah, something like that. And but it was super fun. That was one of my fondest memories, back in the day, especially playing with my dad. I was like, maybe that's where it all started,
So did your dad end up like continuing on? Is your dad a gamer at all?
No, I
know the answer. Yeah. Dad is the coolest guy I've ever met and way too cool for video games.
Yeah. He's much more of a sports guy. And it was probably like some sports bar or something he took me to.
Right.
As a kid, you gravitate towards the video games. He probably just played it with me. But yeah, it was a special memory for me, especially.
Yeah, dude. So when I was doing the research for this show, Karate Champ, which we'll touch on here shortly, is the first game. It was the first like honest to goodness fighting game that came out. I never played it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, is it very similar to like old Street Fighter?
Well, it might be more similar to like Street Fighter 1, which I never played in the arcades. I played on like a collection or something.
Like an emulator or something.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's probably more so similar to Street Fighter 1. Street Fighter 2, I think, was the evolution after that of fighting games, but Karate Champ and Street Fighter 1, I think, have a lot of similarities.
So this is actually a great starting point for this episode then. I never played Karate Champ, but Karate Champ, I think, was the sort of initial fighting game. It came out in 1984.
Yeah.
1984. I know.
Yeah, wow. I'm actually surprised knowing that. I didn't know exactly when it came out, but I'm surprised because I was born in 85. And I probably played this in the early 90s. I guess it's not too far off. But yeah, that's a early
90s.
I would imagine.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I guess arcade games still have a pretty long life expectancy, like when you go into most arcade games that aren't just all gotcha games at this point, like you'll still see your old like Pac-Man cabs and your Street Fighter cabs and stuff like that. Why do you think Karate Champ didn't like stick around more?
I think in my opinion, it was simple. And then you get Street Fighter 2, which implemented 6 buttons and special moves and whatnot, much more interesting characters. So I think it just kind of got the ball rolling, but then was quickly forgotten for more interesting mechanics and characters.
So do you remember playing Street Fighter 1 in the arcades much?
No, I never played Street Fighter 1 in the arcades.
Yeah,
I never saw one in the arcades, I don't think.
Yeah, see, that for me, that was my experience too. Like, so Karate Champ came out in 84, Street Fighter 1 came out in 87. And then it felt like there was this big, long gulf between Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2, which Street Fighter 2 was my first experience with fighting games.
Yeah, most people's, yeah.
And so I never knew an era where it was before the 6 button sort of format or whatever. But I wonder if, like, for somebody who like started back then, if it really felt like a quantum leap going forward from probably a 2-button to a 6-button format.
I don't think I really gave it much. I was so young, I don't think I gave it that much thought. Street Fighter 2 was definitely my most influential like first fighting game. I'd say Karate Champ is technically my first fighting game, but Street Fighter 2 made all the difference, An interesting thing about Street Fighter 1 is it had pressure sensitive buttons. I don't know if you knew
Oh,
that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No.
so like the harder you press on like a punch, for instance, it would either be a light punch, or if you press it harder, it'd be like a heavy punch.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's so interesting that they had that technology back in like literally the early 80s, and we didn't see it in consoles basically until much more recently.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I guess it was hell on like arcade operators,
Oh, I
because
bet.
kids would just mash on it,
Yeah.
constantly, which it was intended for, I guess. But I don't know if they had the foresight to really think about it at that point.
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing those very often. I mean, as far as I know, most arcade cabinets, even to this day, don't have pressure-sensitive buttons. So the juice must not have been worth the squeeze.
I think the idea was there because, eventually they split it up between 6 buttons, which, is your light to heavy instead of a pressure-sensitive button, which makes more sense. Maybe they thought it might be too complicated for kids at the time, or who knows, but...
Well, so to your recollection, did Street Fighter 1 have like special moves? Like, did you have your like your Raikens and...
I think so. Yeah, there was. I'm pretty sure there was Hadoukens and other special moves. Yeah,
I can imagine like as the emphasis in gameplay sort of moved towards combos and those sorts of things, that like being able to be precise about your input probably factored in quite a bit more, and that I imagine that's a lot harder to do with like a pressure sensitive
I would
button.
imagine. Yeah, I never actually played the pressure button version, but yeah, I would imagine it'd be tough to time out.
Right. So 1991, Street Fighter 2 comes onto the scene, and I think that is where you really saw the sort of like the blueprint for what fighting games would become.
For sure. Yeah.
You had this great dynamic cast of characters that all had their own personality, their own design aesthetic,
their own origin.
Yeah, their own origin, and a multinational origin too. So you got to experience different fighting styles, different supers, different gameplay types.
Yep.
And I think that Street Fighter 1, probably arguably set the tone for all fighting games that came after that.
1 or 2?
Two.
Gotcha.
Street
Okay,
Fighter
yeah.
2. So here was an interesting thing for me though.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, I remember seeing Street Fighter 2 cabinets basically everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
And I feel like I remember Street Fighter 2 sort of reigning supreme for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was doing this study here, when I was doing the research, Mortal Kombat came out in 1992.
Yeah.
So I thought it doesn't compute to me that Street Fighter 2 only existed for a year in a world without Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't really realize that either. I would have assumed that Street Fighter was a much bigger influence. You would assume it's not such a big influence because of the span of time, right?
Yeah.
It came out so fast, but I thought it was like hugely influenced by Street Fighter 2. Maybe that's not the case.
Yeah, and they do feel pretty distinct from one another. And I don't know, so you grew up in Seattle area, I grew up in Los Angeles area. For me, although certainly there was a very strong Street Fighter presence, Mortal Kombat very quickly became like the game to play.
For sure.
What was your experience?
I've always preferred Street Fighter. But Mortal Kombat, everybody loved, because the blood was definitely a defining factor. The sort of, I don't know how you would like the word to the word like throughout school you would pass down like fatalities.
Yeah.
And, like, you know,
Oh, what's a fatality?
Exactly. And, or how to do it. This is before internet, you know, you couldn't just look up how to do a fatality. So I think there was a certain community based off of like kids passing secret information along and whatnot.
Dude, oh my God, man, you're like giving me chills right now. Yeah, because like there was no instruction as far as like how you got these fatalities other than like somebody give you a scrap of paper or something with like all the special moves on it. Oh,
and if you didn't know and it was pulled on you for the first time, you're like, what the heck?
What the heck is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That honestly, like thinking about it from today's lens and sort of the rear view mirror, it was such a brilliant marketing strategy on their part to keep people engaged. You know, like Street Fighter had flourishes and flares and the special moves and stuff, but there was something about like this unique experience that you wanted to sit around and watch everyone play all the different characters so that you might be able to see this fatality.
Yeah, you would stand around, not even play sometimes. You just stand around and watch people go head to head. And,
oh, dude. Yeah, all the time. You'd literally just sit there.
Right. Like, oh, I didn't know that. You would find techniques and whatnot. Pretty cool. I miss that so much.
Yeah, and so from Mortal Kombat, after Street Fighter, you ended up seeing a real kind of boom in popularity with fighters. You had your Virtua Fighter come out 93, which was the first 3D fighter. Did you play much Virtua Fighter?
I was always a Sega guy, so Virtua Fighter was right there. Yeah,
that one felt a little stiff for me.
I could see that, and that's how I feel about Mortal Kombat as well. A little clunky in the mechanics, but yeah, Virtua Fighter definitely a different beast than say Street Fighter or even Mortal Kombat.
I feel like from a combat perspective, it's one of the more different like styles. But you had your what I would call more your like Capcom / Street Fighter clone like mechanics. You had like your Samurai Showdown came out in 93. You had Darkstalkers in 94. And then on the opposite side, you had, you know, the other games that were following in the Mortal Kombat blueprint, which were like your Killer Instincts and Primal Rage. Do you remember
Clay
that?
Fighter?
What? Which one?
Clay Fighter.
Yes,
yeah,
Clay Fighter. Oh,
too, yeah.
So cool.
All of those, yeah.
You know, it's funny. We talk smack about this game that came out recently called the Midnight Walk, which was it's like a kind of like a cozy horror game a little bit. But one of their things that they market quite a bit is that they built all these assets, these clay assets in person, and then digitize them into the game.
Okay.
And for me, like when I'm playing that game, I'm like, it doesn't actually feel like they accomplished what they were trying. Like you could have digitized all of this. But back when Clay Fighter was made, Clay Fighter wasn't a great fighter.
No.
But for me, I'm like, you can clearly tell these assets were digitized, and like that made it like special, if nothing else.
Sure, unique. Yeah. Well, it's similar to Mortal Kombat, I think, as far as technique. But yeah, it definitely a very unique fighting game.
Yeah. So, did you play much Darkstalker, Samurai Showdown?
Yeah, King of Fighters, which
King of Fighters.
Yeah, I love King of Fighters. SNK, I guess SNK play more nowadays, but I love those games as well. Yeah, I've played quite a bit of those.
Yeah, and you tend to favor the Street Fighter sort of archetype over the Mortal Kombat archetype in general.
Mortal Kombat has just always felt clunky to me. It's just not my style. And aesthetics counts to me a lot in fighting games. I've always loved the Street Fighter art style and the pixels, the hand-drawn like pixels
versus
at the time.
The digitized assets, yeah.
And the blood, as cool as it is, especially in that era, it never really was a selling point for me. You know, not enough to switch up. And because at the time you have to think, you know, if you didn't have the home port, which is highly likely that you didn't have it, you'd have to play in the arcade, so you have to spend your own money. So you're picking pretty carefully which game you're going to try to get good at.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, finite resources
exactly.
as a kid. Yeah, I don't know. As we're talking about this, it's becoming very clear that you and I think you were a fundamentalist and a traditionalist in a lot of ways, because not only with fighting games, like you stuck to sort of the Street Fighter 2 archetype,
right? But
with comic books, you stuck very firmly to Marvel.
True.
And I grew up on Marvel, and Street Fighter 2 was certainly my first arcade fighting experience. Mm-hmm. But for sure, when Mortal Kombat came out, my tastes went to that. And like the same thing with comic books, like
I could see that.
yeah, you know, like
totally.
I was like,
Yeah.
exactly like the same person who's like reading all the Spawn comics and the Rob Liefeld More Pouches type comics or
More
whatever.
blood, more pouches.
Yeah, it's probably the same type of person who was playing Mortal Kombat. And like, I really liked Killer Instinct when it came out, and like
for sure,
1,000 hit combos and stuff.
And no shade, I totally get it. There's a niche for it as well, and people play high level Mortal Kombat and all those games as well. But it's just never been my personal preference, you know.
Yeah, and same thing. Like I like both, and I certainly like Street Fighter format games more now by a landslide than and we're actually going to both talk about a mutual game that is like one of our favorite games of all time that really re-cemented that. But yeah, at the time for sure I was chasing, it was the new shiny thing. And
for sure.
So in the 90s, though, in the mid 90s, there was sort of we talk about like sort of the Street Fighter archetype and the Mortal Kombat archetype. In 94, what I would consider to be a third archetype came out, which is Tekken.
Sure.
Were you ever a Tekken guy?
I played a lot of Tekken 3. I did like Tekken. It's in the same vein as Virtua Fighter for me. It's a bit clunky, very input heavy.
Very clunky.
Yeah.
But intentionally clunky, and it's very tactical.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love Tekken as well. I like the aesthetic. The story is insane. It's bonkers, like all over the place, which is kind of fun. But I've never been like a diehard Tekken guy.
Yeah. There's a lot about it that I admire. I like that they tried to do something different, and the character variety I always thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, you could play as a bear, a dinosaur.
Yeah, or a robot.
Yeah.
But it never just had, it felt like it was kind of in this odd mid ground somewhere between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter for me that just never really did it.
Right. I have mad respect for people who play high level Tekken.
Yeah.
It's insane to watch, yeah.
So Tekken's introduced in 1994, and then you saw this sort of proliferation of all kinds of fighting games. In the 90s, though, we started experiencing, like the mid 90s, somewhere 96 to 2002, we really started to see this like kind of like crossover phenomenon. We started seeing Marvel versus Capcom. We saw Marvel, well, I guess it's X-Men versus Street Fighter initially, then Marvel versus Capcom. We saw the first Smash Brothers in 99, which was kind of a, again, an altogether different fighter format that is still real big in the tournament scene. Yeah. Were you a Smash Brothers guy?
No, for fun, sleepovers, parties, whatever, but never tournament or high level play.
Yeah.
But I love it. It's fun,
It's fun, but it wasn't something that you're going to like drill down into and try and master.
No, again, highly respect those guys, but never a high level player. Yeah.
Right. And then in the year 2000, we saw one of gaming's finest accomplishments to this day, which is Marvel versus Capcom 2.
Yeah. My all-time favorite games, period.
Yeah.
Game or not.
Full stop. Yeah. One of my all-time favorite games, man. That came out when I was in the military, when I was in the Navy, and I got it on my Dreamcast.
Yep.
And it is still the game that if they have it in a arcade, that will be what I play first.
Yeah, for sure. Just like a magnet, just straight to it. Yeah.
What do you think made that game special for you?
Well, I guess to start, X-Men versus Street Fighter was huge for me. I was a big Street Fighter fan, and I was a big Marvel fan. And at the time, I had no idea that the two had crossed. Again, funny enough, my dad I think it was another sports bar, took me there, and I saw
sensing a theme here.
Right, exactly.
Your dad was covering up a drinking problem with fighting games.
Maybe talk to him about that. But yeah, so I walk in and see this X-Men versus Street Fighter cabinet. And it's two of my favorite things in the world put into one thing. And it's this big flashy, it's loud, it's flashy, like things, I've never seen something like that before in my life. And it was just like, that old trope where the heaven opens up. It's like, oh, Like, I could not believe what I was seeing. And ever since then, you know, I've been and not only that, not only just the nostalgia, but the mechanics are great. It's similar to Smash in that it's like a just a fun time, you know. It's more of a party game. It's broken as all hell. And that goes with all of the Versus series. They never really balanced them quite right, which is, I think, part of the fun. But yeah, and then Marvel vs. Capcom 2 comes out, and I'm in high school. I have the Dreamcast. I think I imported it from Japan at that point.
So cool, doubly cool.
Right, yeah. And I actually found a buddy in high school who was big into fighting games as well, and he was big into that game also. And we played hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in that game. And then, you know, I was heavy in the arcade scene at that point as well. It just, for me, it hit at the perfect time where my social life, you know, the arcades were popping at the time. It was just, everything lined up for me. Two of my favorite properties put into one. It's just such a good, fun time.
Yeah, and it had so much going for it too. Like the balance was totally broken. It was broken.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was broken made it fun.
Right.
You know, and so many, I think still one of the biggest casts, the biggest
if not one of the in fighting games. I know Dragon Ball FighterZ has a big roster. Smash Bros as well, but I don't
especially the current Smash Brothers has a really big roster, but I mean 56
in 1999 as well.
Yeah,
the longest time, if not still, it's one of the biggest rosters.
And from such a wide variety of properties too, you know what I mean? It literally took Capcom's finest and Marvel's finest and smashed them all into a game, and it gave, whether you're a fighting game player or not, it gave you plenty to play with. And that was and still remains like my quintessential fighting game experience. You know, like we're talking 20 plus years that this game has been out. And to me, it still plays like it did day one. It still plays like the perfect fighting game. It's
pretty timeless, I think.
Yeah,
it's so fun.
And the fact that it's still, I mean, you mentioned there's sort of like a core trinity of people that characters that people play. Who are those right now?
I think it's Sentinel, Magneto, and Storm. I think are considered like the trinity of top tier characters.
Yeah,
there's other mixed in there, but those three.
But the fact that this game is still in the tournament scene is, I mean, that says something.
A lot. So much fun.
Oh, you know, we glazed over something that is a notable footnote in this fighting game evolution. We had Samurai Showdown, which was a weapons-based fighter, but we also had Soul Calibur come out in 1992. I loved Soul Calibur 2 in particular.
Okay.
That was a really cool fighting game for me. And it also, I think, started to breed the more 3D based fighter.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
Right.
Well, yeah, we had Dead or Alive as well, I guess.
That's true.
Virtua Fighter, Tekken. But yeah, it was amongst those 3D fighting.
Yeah, Tekken. Yeah, true. Tekken was probably the first 3D fighter, but I don't remember seeing a lot of it before Soul Calibur. That felt like the first multiplayer game that I really got into anyways. Outside of sort of the, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat kind of format games.
Yeah. Do you remember Bushido Blade by any chance?
No.
It was similar sort of to Soul Calibur, except they tried to make it like a realistic weapons based fighting game. So like if you struck a fatal blow with your sword, it could be the first blow. If it was like to the neck or the head, you would die. Like one hit kind of.
Oh,
do you remember that? Is that Bushido Blade?
No, that's Time Killers was like that. So I didn't actually include it in this because it's such a niche game. But yeah, like there was like a character that had like a chainsaw, for instance, and it was just a really not well put together fighting system. But I remember one of the key mechanics is that if you like hit somebody in the neck at a certain point or whatever, even if they had a full health bar, they would die right away.
Yeah.
So Bushido Blade was maybe.
I think it was. It's been forever since I played it, but yeah. Interesting thought. I can't think of another. Like I don't think that idea has continued much going forward, but it's kind of a cool idea.
A little off topic here, slight segue, but do you favor 2D or 3D fighting games?
I'm such an old head. 2D is my preference. Hand drawn 2D.
Yeah. Or sprites.
It holds a special place in my heart. Like Street Fighter 3 is still not only again one of my favorite games, right up there with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but one of my favorite games to look at as well. It's just a beautiful game.
Oh yeah, the sprite based character animation in Street Fighter 3 is gorgeous. Yeah. It's still some of the best.
Same with like the Guilty Gear series.
Yep.
I think still moving forward, they're doing. I'm not sure if the newer ones are, but yeah, for a long time they were beautifully drawn games.
They were, and that's so I mean, like a little bit of an offshoot and more recent are these like really heavily anime based games like BlazBlue, for instance, where it comes with a lot of anime tropes that I'm not fond of. I love the anime art style just in general, but I've never personally been able to get into anime because of there's just some like typical things that come along with that experience that haven't worked out well for me. But the fact that they're still hand drawn, it's some of the prettiest like animation I've seen in gaming, and I miss that, man.
I do too.
I mean, you've played most of the Marvel vs. Capcom games, right?
I own all of them. Yeah.
So have any of them like resonated with you like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 did?
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 I liked a lot. That's probably the one that I've played. Well, I don't know. Ultimate 3 is up there for me as well, but not as much as Marvel 2. That's just my game. I just can't.
Yeah. I've played some of the other ones mostly at your place.
Sure.
But man, it's like 2D fighter or nothing for me, basically.
Yeah.
Like I really, really, really loved those games, and there was just something about that shift from hand-drawn sprites to CG or whatever the appropriate name is for that style that just didn't work well for me, and I wish they would bring it back, man.
They might. I'd be interested to see it. I wonder if I don't know too much about the new what's it called, Marvel Tokon? Yeah, that looks beautiful, but I don't know if it's hand-drawn sprites or not.
I think it's meant to emulate that look.
It looks great.
It does look great. There's certain character, we've talked about this offline. There's certain characters that, Iron Man straight up looks like a Gundam to me in these. But there's certain characters where I think that heavy anime style lends itself to the experience. Like we talked about the stylization in Marvel Rivals, for instance, where it's definitely a couple steps away from like canon comic book characters.
Right.
But for me, it still works.
Yeah, and I'll play it for sure. I'm not a big fan of the anime aesthetics in fighting games, but I'll still play the hell out of it probably.
Yeah. And I think the way it plays is going to make a big difference too, obviously.
For sure. Yeah.
Plus, we're jumping ahead here, but I think that since this is going to be a Marvel only roster, what I'm hoping to see is a large Marvel roster. It'd be really cool to see you've got your Spider-Mans and your Storms and your Wolverines and all your super popular characters, but it'd be like really cool to see them niche down a bit.
I agree. And that's, going back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I thought that was one of my favorite things. They included characters like MODOK and like Phoenix, like just crazy characters. And I want to see similar things. I know it's not the same company, obviously, but I want to see the similar things with this new Marvel game.
What's one character that you would love to see in a Marvel fight? Nightcrawler. How has there never been Nightcrawler in a fighting game?
I don't know. His teleportation, like his wall crawling stuff.
Oh,
it lends itself so perfectly. He's a sword fighter.
That would be perfect. You could do so much with it, dude. Yeah. He'd be just a real pokey character like a Vega or a Cammy or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see that Colossus would be cool to see, like a tank character.
Yeah. Well, I guess Colossus.
He's been in fighting games, but it'd still be fun to see newer ones. Yeah. Just a different take on him.
Yeah.
Oh, Daredevil would be fun.
Daredevil would be awesome. Was he not in any of the Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate? That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Huh.
Ghost Rider was, which is cool.
Yeah, Ghost Rider's awesome.
Yeah.
talk about a property that's left dying on the
man.
vine right now, man.
Yeah, we'll have to do another comic book.
Yeah,
We could go off on a tangent there.
Okay, so getting back to sort of the timeline here,
Yeah.
now we're going into kind of like the modern mechanics and global expansion of fighting games in the mid 2000s to the 20 teens, basically. So we talked about Street Fighter 3 a bit, and then Street Fighter 4 was the first non-sprite Street Fighter title. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people were considering this title to be sort of the revival of traditional fighting games.
Yep.
I remember you and I played that game quite a bit.
Yeah.
But how do you view that game now, kind of in the overall? Like, do you think it saved or had some huge positive impact on fighting games?
I think so. There was a huge lull between Street Fighter 3 and 4. And not only that, but a lot of casual players didn't even know Street Fighter 3 existed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It was not nearly as popular, at least in the arcades, as 2 was.
Exactly. Yeah, amongst the general population, most people, didn't play 3. So even bigger gap between 2 and 4. And yeah, it did. I think it revived the fighting game scene quite a bit, especially Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a great game for its time. I'm, like I said, an old head. I'm generally Street Fighter 3 and below, but I'll pick up and play like a newer Street Fighter every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of the, unfortunately, like the aesthetic matters a lot to me in the games, and it really turned me off in that game. The remodeling,
not a pretty game.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. And it's just interesting to me that games get so far into the, I mean, like clearly somebody signed off on it,
Sure.
you know. And it was a very popular game and very well rated, the balance I think was notably good.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I can't get over looking at these real chunky, weird looking.
I would go so far as to say it's an ugly game. Same with Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
I wasn't a big fan. The huge feet and the huge hands.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I get that what they're trying to do, emulate the old big hand, big feet of the 2D era, but it just didn't translate as good, in my opinion.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the coin, Mortal Kombat 9 came out a couple of years later, so 2011. And the thing that game did really well is it introduced one of the first and most substantial story modes in a fighting game. I don't know if you played much 9, but it was sort of known as being like the first fighting game that had like a more substantial storyline to play through, where it wasn't just like a couple lines of dialogue. Like you actually got to kind of like get into the characterization a bit, which is very novel for fighting games. Like most storylines in fighting games, like every single fighting game I can think of, even ones with like a lot of lore, like Soul Calibur 2 has like deep lore, but like what you actually get in the games is like nothing. You know, you got a couple lines of dialogue or whatever. Mortal Kombat did a really good job of fleshing that out. And then Mortal Kombat 9 ended up leading to another sort of crossover type game called Injustice, Gods Among Us,
Right.
Which came out in 2013. And that was like the Mortal Kombat version of it wasn't like a Marvel vs. Capcom, because the Injustice was all DC characters.
Yeah.
But it did the same thing where you took comic book properties and put them into a fighter, but using sort of Mortal Kombat as the template with like finishing moves and that kind of thing. Did you play much of that?
My Mortal Kombat in general stops at Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
Yeah.
So I didn't play anything after that. It looked fun. It looked cool, but I didn't. Yeah.
What do you think stopped you from getting into those? Like you've said this a few times during the show here, but you're an old head and you like stop at like Street Fighter 3.
Well, kids have a lot to do with that. I mean, sort of. For the more modern games, like my daughter's 12, and when you become a parent, you just sometimes don't have a lot of time to game. So you have to, again, pick your games wisely. You pick your time wisely.
Right.
And I've always been a Street Fighter fan and a Versus series fan. And not only that, but like I prefer SNK over like or King of Fighters specifically over Mortal Kombat. There's just a ton of other fighting games I'd rather play than Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat.
right. And a finite amount of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me.
Yeah. No shade again. I'm sure they're great games.
It sounds like you're shading it.
Yeah. At them all. No,
you talked about Dragon Ball FighterZ. That came out in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So you and your friend, our friend Demetrius, are both big Dragon Ball fighters.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that's held in. Sorry, you're both big Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah.
This is one of those games that has this amazing reputation that I've never even touched that game, man. Mm-hmm. For probably the same reason that you ended up kind of abstaining from the Mortal Kombat series, where I'm like, I've got a finite amount of time. This just isn't resonating with me. Right. But I wanted to give this game its due. It's got a, notably large cast of characters in it, and for fans of the property and of fighting games, they've had a lot of joy with it. Mm-hmm. What do you think Dragon Ball FighterZ did well?
Aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's a great looking game. I don't know if you've ever taken some time to just look at how the game looks.
My problem is that all the characters look the same to me.
But I think regardless, the how they did the game, I think it looks great. Even if the characters look the same to you, because you're not an anime fan in general, not only just not a Dragon Ball fan. Yeah, so that might be your.
It's got a lot working against it.
Yeah, your first barrier there is the characters. You have to care about what you're playing, I think. But it's a beautiful game. The mechanics are very versus series-esque, very sort of more so, I think, along the lines of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom or Marvel vs. Capcom 3 in general. Similar idea, a 3-on-3. I think it's 3-on-3. With the button layout similar as well. I think they gave the fans what they wanted. I don't know that there's been a really highly regarded Dragon Ball Z fighting game. There's Budokai and other games, but they're not head on head. It's hard to explain. They're more like a 3D plane sort of fighting game.
Yeah.
This one is like a straight up
true
head-to-head.
Head-to-head fighter.
Which is insane. I know there have been others, but it's crazy that Dragon Ball Z has never had a really good, high regarded.
Yeah, with as popular as the title is, again, right. It's a generation defining property.
Yep.
Popular in many different cultures and fighting focused.
Exactly.
It is a fighting focused game.
Yeah. And I think they gave the fans exactly what they wanted. Huge roster, every representation of whatever character you want is in there. But pretty much, Yeah. I think it's just, if you're a fan of that already, it's such a great idea for that specific person. I could see it being a big barrier to get into, though, if you're not into anime, not necessarily into fighting games. You don't want to put the time into learning a new mechanic, and especially when you don't care about the character.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things about gaming is that you can think of it like a restaurant menu. There's going to be things in this menu that you like and there's things that you don't, and that's fine.
That's
just to eat what you like.
Right. But I think they did a great job. I think they did right by the fans. I think most fans would agree with that. Yeah.
So that's going to kind of take us into this modern area, which is 2018 to present, where we started seeing cross-platform games get real popular. We started seeing esports get real popular. Mm-hmm. And there's a couple notable titles in here. So Smash Brothers Ultimate, right, is one of the few Nintendo properties that I can think of that is really sweaty, right? On the tournament scene, on the competitive scene. And it's a game with a big roster, lots of chaos. What do you think about this game lends itself to competitive play? Have you spent a lot of time playing Smash Brothers Ultimate?
Yes, with my son especially, he's 8. We play it quite a bit. He loves it, and I think why people love Smash Brothers is the big roster. I think that helps in a lot of games in general when you can pick a character that you identify with in some way, or just love to play as. But I think with anything like that, it's fun to get into the nitty gritty of finding what works best, which character works best. You can go into the lab and work on this game forever and find different things. I think I'm not a high level player or even really a good Smash player, but
selling yourself short.
I don't know, but I also think
Charles, for the record, Charles is quite good at fighting games.
Anyway, I think there's a couple of things. It's a fun party game. You can just pick it up and play. You can mash the buttons or whatever, have fun with it, or you can pick it up and play high level with it. I think the flexibility there is what a lot of people love. And it's the Nintendo, like most people love Nintendo characters. There's, everybody has.
They have some of the
Nintendo
most fondly appreciated
Exactly.
characters in video games for sure.
Yeah, and it's just a bonkers time. It's just similar to Marvel 2. It's just so in your face and hard to tell what's going on sometimes.
Yeah.
I think it's fun to. It's just a fun game to play, I think is what it boils down to. Yeah.
I love the roster. That style of game, the Smash Brothers style game, has never been something that was like particularly appealing to me, but I love the roster. I love that people have fun with it. There's no denying its popularity, and it's one of the most popular, it might be the most popular fighting game in the esports circuit. You've got other games like there's a competitive scene for Street Fighter 6, obviously. Sure. There's still like older games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 that are in the fighting game circuit. Mm-hmm. But Smash Brothers, I think, has like a real popular kind of like esports community around it.
For sure. Yeah.
What do you think about esports in general, by the way?
I think it's cool. I think it's great. I don't know much about it, to be honest. I mean, I like watching high level matches. There's something super special. Even if I don't play this whatever specific game that I'm watching, it's always fun to watch high level play.
Yeah.
Just seeing what people come up with. Like, I didn't even know certain things are possible in certain games. You're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I think it's cool. I think it's healthy competition as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We recently did an interview with this company called Eval. They are a Princeton-based or Princeton University-backed esports recruiting platform, which I thought was a novel concept. They're like literally their whole purpose is to connect players with esports scholarships in universities and stuff. And like the idea that people could get paid to pursue esports like a true sport is crazy to me.
That's interesting, yeah.
But I had this conversation with them where it's like, one of the things about traditional sports like football, baseball, soccer, boxing, whatever you want to call it, is that there is a real, like, there's a event-based kind of like value to it where you're going to view this thing with other people and kind of like be around the vibe and the energy and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was asking them if they felt that esports would ever get there, because like a lot of viewership for esports happens online because it's real convenient.
Sure.
But will it ever supplement or replace that in-person thing? And they were saying that like there are games like League of Legends, for instance, where they just did a world championship and sold out some big arena for it, But you and I have been to a couple of fighting game tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, when I think about like what could really replace that sort of like electricity in the air from like a video game standpoint, dude, that freaking vibe for fighting game tournaments is electric. It feels tense. You feel like there's going to be a very clear winner and a very clear loser here, and it's head to head and stuff, man.
For sure.
Tell me about your own personal experience seeing some of these fighting game tournaments happen in person.
It's great. I mean, it's funny because I'm not naturally a competitive person, which is odd that I like fighting games so much.
The most directly competitive game you can find.
Exactly. But there's like you said, so like going back to that old arcade feel, you just can't beat it. There's just, like you said, an electric feeling in the air. Having people watch you pull off a combo and then the whole like people behind you.
Oh,
like I'm sure that, I don't play actual sports. I'm sure like if you dunk and people do, it's the same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know that can be replaced digitally. I think it's going to have to, because that's how things are these days. But yeah, I love watching high level play, whether it's online or in person. Yeah, it's again, unbridled fun for me anyway, just to see what people have been working on, what people can do. Yeah.
I've been asking this question a lot of guests recently, but I'd love to get your personal spin on it. Sure. So AI obviously is advancing quite a bit, and we've had conversations about AI is not only becoming more ubiquitous, we see it everywhere, but it's also becoming more human-like in the way that you can program, like AI in video games, for instance. You can program bots to act kind of more human-like. Sure. Do you think we're ever going to get to a point where the value of watching two people go head to head in a fighting game is going to go away because you can replicate it so well with AI?
I never thought about that. That's an interesting thought. For me, yes. I don't know. Like I don't want to see two AI opponents do high level play. That's not interesting to me. Like it's like a painting, right? Like an AI painting is not nearly as impressive as watching a person do it.
Well, right, but it's because the AI did it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you didn't, like assuming, I think this is where I have a hard time with this, right? Like, so, you can't see this offset, anybody who might be watching the video, but like Charles got me this awesome Moon Knight art, like that was hand created by somebody in 2014 when I was going through a really rough personal time. And it's amazing. And it's mostly amazing because I know that somebody literally put hand to paper on that and created that from their brain. Mm-hmm. And then on the opposite side of me, I've got this awesome Tank Girl poster that our community member Lupo hand created. It's
amazing.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah. It's gorgeous. And it is hand created, and I have a lot of value for it. But now, like, let's assume I didn't know who made these things, right?
Sure.
And I was just looking at them based on their face value. I would still go, man, these are awesome. And then if somebody was like, yeah, well, they're AI. There's something about that I go like, oh, well, I don't know that I like it as much anymore.
But why? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I get the conundrum. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I don't know the difference, then
what does it matter?
Yeah, what does it matter?
Yeah.
But if I do know the difference, I'd much rather watch people who put time and sweat and effort into learning these combos and to learning what character does this and, the tier list and all this stuff. I think there's a certain, I don't know. It's impressive to me that somebody takes the time to do all that. An AI can just do it like,
Yeah, it's a strange world we live in, man. Right. Yeah, we're like that.
It's very odd.
Yeah, but they mentioned this on Eval, the last episode as well, where, chess has been going through this for a long time.
Sure.
Like people still watch chess. People still watch high-level chess, even though robots can do it better. There's something that is kind of like inescapably valuable about seeing things through the human experience, and we'll continue to see, even if the medium happens to be electronic fighting.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
We're getting a little light on time, man, but I wanted to ask you a couple questions here. So what is your favorite fighting game of all time?
Marvel 2 or Street Fighter 3. Those two stick out to me by far. Yeah, if it's a versus, because in my mind, like, sure, they're both fighting games, but they're both drastically different fighting games. Marvel 2 is my favorite of that style fighting game, and then Street Fighter 3 is my favorite of that style fighting game. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
totally.
Somebody, yeah.
Totally. Right. And if you had to pick like your top 3 characters, fighting game characters ever, who would they be?
I love Sagat. He's one of my favorite
Muay Thai, baby.
Yeah, and fighting styles. I love just in general. Top 3, gosh. That's a tough one. Ryu, as boring as he is, I think he deserves to be in the conversation. He's boring
in the same way that Captain America is boring.
Sure.
It's like,
or Superman.
Or like, Superman.
He's the archetype of almost every fighting game character that's come after that. And I think there's something special about that. Yeah. And then Akuma's always been up there, even though he's sort of a Ryu clone. I love his design. I think he's super dope. Like when we went to Japan,
Yep.
You'd see all those statues that look those old statues that look like.
Thanks for catching yourself.
Yeah,
there, by
the way. But yeah, it's just something about that design I just love, and the evil sort of the overly dramatic evilness of the characters.
Yeah, but exactly the melodramatic evil of it. What is one property that you would love to see a fighting game made after that they haven't made yet?
I'd love to see Capcom do a DC fighting game, which is I've never been a DC guy, but I think there's a lot of potential there, and I love what Capcom in general does with fighting games.
For sure. Dude, I'm coming, like, the last maybe 3 years, I've come around to DC so much, dude. Yeah. I maybe, honestly, because Marvel MCU has left itself in such a vulnerable state. They've made so many unlikable movies, and DC's made at least one really good one now. But I've come to appreciate the DC characters quite a bit more than I had growing up. Yeah. I would love to see that too, man.
Yeah.
How about a Star Wars fighter?
That would be cool. There have been some. I think Activision made one back in the day. I don't know if you remember. It was like a 3D sort of Soul Calibur-esque with, like, you could play as characters. I think they had weapons as well, like lightsabers and whatnot. I can't for the life of me remember the name.
See, I remember like being able to play Yoda or Vader in, maybe it was like Soul Calibur 3 or something.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 4, 3 or 4, yeah, one of them.
But I don't actually remember. Yeah, Link, Spawn, you know, the little characters.
Right? Yeah.
But I don't ever remember there being a really honest to goodness like Star Wars fighter. I think that would be cool, man.
Yeah, there was one for like PlayStation 1 or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is ringing a bell. Yeah. But I mean, clearly it wasn't like that big of a success.
Right. Yeah, that would be great though to see. Yeah, I think like seeing a Marvel versus DC would be this is just pie in the sky. Dude, it would never happen. But
we're talking, man.
Made by Capcom, that would be really fun.
Yeah. What a time to be alive, man.
I know.
Seeing all of our nerdy stuff from childhood like given new life, and
it's cool.
So many different mediums, man.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
CJ, dude, this is awesome that we were finally able to do this. We've been literally talking about doing this for years, man. It's awesome to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Yeah. For anybody out there watching, thank you so much for taking the time. We know you've got a lot of different options out there for video game podcasts, and it just means so much that you take the time to spend your commute or wherever you're listening to us with us. If you've enjoyed the show, please take a moment to rate the store, whatever this is, the show 5 stars on your podcast player of choice, and hit that follow button. It goes a really long way towards keeping a independent show like us going. If you really want to take your support to the next level, please consider joining our Patreon. There's lots of awesome perks, including being able to listen to sort of the preamble and the postamble of these shows. Being able to vote on content and really inform content and be part of the show is a big part of that too. You can find Patreon information in our show description. And finally, if you haven't yet, please join our Discord. We've got over 1,100 people in that Discord now with basically no moderation. It is the nicest, most friendly, communal group of gamers you're ever likely to find. I've met some honest friends through this channel now, and I have no doubt that you will too. It's very welcoming. Everybody loves it. And again, you get to sort of learn all the inside baseball about the show. That is going to do it for this episode, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. And until next time, happy gaming.
Peace.